steps in and sees you through when you wish upon a star your dreams come true.
Well, there we are. A lot of memories there.
There certainly are. And what's our second theme, Alex?
Our second theme, we're still at Channel 7. And this time the Les Egan Orchestra plays the lively For Dancers Only. Now this music was used for the hit parade, which was compared by John Eden and featured people miming the hit tunes of the day. Now, you know some of these people, haven't you?
For the last hour and a half, we've been trying to remember who they were. And we figured out Judd Lane, he was a dancer.
Yes.
Madeleine Burke was a very pretty girl miming the songs of the day. And there was Don Bennett and Bernadette Russell, and I think there was somebody we've overlooked, Alex.
There were.
Perhaps one of our listeners. It was Judd Lane, Madeleine Burke, Don Bennett, Bernadette Russell, and I think there were one or two others.
Yes, there were, but I just cannot for the life of me think of them.
But we took a long time to think of these, didn't we?
But here it is, and you'll no doubt remember this great theme for the hit parade, For Dancers Only. Join us again next time when once again we relive memories of old radio and TV shows with Themes We Remember.
And we forgot John Darcy.
John Darcy, of course. He was probably the principal there.
Yes, a kind listener rang us in.
Thanks very much for ringing in.
I can just see John Eden sitting on that chair introducing those numbers.
I know, and black and white TV, and then at the end of it, the theme went with the credits going up.
Yep. In fact, for its time, it was a very imaginative production, wasn't it?
It was.
They did some rather clever...
John Darcy always used to do the Harry Belafonte things, didn't he?
He had black
sort of trousers that came halfway down his calves and a straw hat turned up.
Yeah, in black and white.
That's right.
George Smith is enjoying our program and wishes us all a happy new year.
Thank you, George.
And you too, George. Now, it's what time is it, Alex? It's 22 minutes to...
To 9 o'clock.
That's to Collector's Corner.
And
What are we having tonight?
we're having Gracie Fields, part one of the Gracie Fields story, which is told in her own voice and songs, and it's introduced by the late Stanley Holloway.
A lot of people should enjoy that.
Yes, I think they will. It's in two parts. John will be playing the second part in his next program.
In a fortnight's time.
Indeed. So
Well,
look for that one at 9.
Until then,
Back to the program.
on we go. So for Mari Prince down there at East Malvern's enjoying the program, and Mari would like to hear Jim Davidson and his new Palais Royal Orchestra. And this record is considered a fairly hard-to-get Davidson disc.
Yeah, well, in good condition, anyway.
In good condition. The boys recorded the original Dixieland one-step in Sydney on November the 1st, 1933.
And then My Lavender Lass, one half of the duet known as the Sweethearts of Song. Webster Booth comes to the program now with a request for Edna Eames. My Lavender Lass is a pretty number on which Webster is accompanied by Charles Prentice and his orchestra. But firstly,
Jim Davidson.
with a lavender lass with eyes of lavender blue. She is bright and fair as the golden air in skies of an April hue. I have no guile to win her smile, and yet to see her pass. How long I wait by the garden gate, and woo my lavender lass. Oh, I'm in lavender lass, she careth not for me. Her step is light, and her eyes are bright, her maiden heart is free. Among her flowers I pass the hours, my faithful soul to prove, till I surprise in her lavender eyes the light of adorning love, till I surprise in her lavender eyes the light of adorning love.
Webster Booth it was.
That's a nice one.
My lavender lass.
16 minutes to Collector's Corner.
Yes, indeed.
And what have we next?
We have Georges Guattari now for our very own Maureen on the switch out there. And by the way, Maureen has got some lines available. If you'd like to ring up and speak to Maureen and say how much you're enjoying the program, or you would like to become a listener sponsor or what have you, or a request, she's only too happy to take your call.
This is Maureen's own request this
time. It is.
Yeah.
This is the one. She likes Georges Guattari, and we're going to play his recording of the A.P. Herbert Vivian Alice song from Bless the Bride, La Belle Marguerite. And this recording was made by Georges in 1946.
And then for Edward Everett, we have Dick Powell with orchestral accompaniment, and the song which he introduced in the Warner Brothers film of 1935, The Broadway Gondolier, The Rose in Her Hair. Actually, other stars in the film were Joan Blondell and Adolphe Menjou.
Yes. But firstly,
La Bella Margherita.
In September when the grapes are purple, Marguerite picked the grapes with me. There are silver bells upon her fingers, all the little birds come out to see. Ah, belle Marguerite, so beautiful to see. Les mains de ma petite Marguerite picking grapes with me. Ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a, ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a, ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a, ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a. In October when they fill the wine press, Marguerite tread the grapes with me. Marguerite has the feet of angels, all the little boys come out to see. Ah, belle Marguerite, so beautiful to see. Les pieds de ma petite Marguerite treading grapes with me. Ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a, ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a, ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a. In December when the wind is blowing, when the snow is on the bloody sea, sunshine still is in the golden glosses. Marguerite, drink the sun with me. Ah, belle Marguerite, so beautiful to see. La boule de ma petite Marguerite, drinking wine with me. Ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a, ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a, ah, Marguerite, drink the sun with me, ma belle Marguerite, so beautiful to see. La Marguerite drink ich ab Marguerite drink ich ab avec
In her eyes there was moonlight, and a rose in her hair. In my arms there was no one, so I just put her there. On her lips was a promise, in my heart was a prayer. When I finally went, I went home with the scent of the rose in her hair. Love is a rose, and it grows like a rose. I found the rose nestled in someone's hair. Sweet was the rose, and never a maid was so fair. In her eyes there was moonlight, and a rose in her hair. In my arms there was no one, so I just put her there. On her lips was a promise, in my heart was a prayer. When I finally went, I went home with the scent of the rose in her hair. Sempre l'amor che inebria i nostri cuori col tuo grande fervor. Il tuo labbro di rosa preme tutto d'amor. Vieni cara amplesso, felice, complesso, oh rosa d'amor.
Well, we haven't heard that one for a long time, Alex.
That's a pretty one, that. La
It's a
Rose
good
in
one.
Her Hair from Broadway Gondolier.
Dick Powell.
9 minutes to 9 at 9 o'clock.
Collector's Corner, the Gracie Field story.
It is part 1.
So we'll be looking forward to that.
Indeed.
But next up we have for Kevin Banfield, we have Al Hibbler with his 1954 hit, Success, He.
He. Yes.
I can't remember this one.
I can. Remember Bill Farrell also had it out too. I
Did
think.
he?
Yeah.
I just can't...
And now, was it? No, it was a man called Peter that Darryl Stewart did here. But this is quite a nice tune.
when you hit the button, I'll probably...
You will remember.
And what's next?
And then Blaze Away. Ray Noble's New Mayfair Orchestra, and this is a great piece. It's a Holtzman composition, which we're playing tonight for Arthur Badley, and it's Blaze Away. But firstly...
Al Hibbler.
With He.
He.
He can turn the tides and calm the angry sea. He alone decides who writes the symphony. harmony. He lights every star that makes our darkness bright. He keeps watch all through each long and lonely night. He still finds the time to hear a child's first prayer. Saint or sinner calls and always find him there. Though it makes him sad to see the way we live, he'll always say, I forgive. He can grant a wish or make a dream come true. He can paint the clouds and turn the gray to blue. He alone knows where to find the rainbow's end. He alone can see what lies beyond the bend. He can touch a tree and turn the leaves to gold. He knows every lie that you and I have told. Though it makes him sad to see the way we live, he'll always say, I forgive. I forgive, I forgive. He'll always say,
Who did that?
I did.
Well, take that. A bonfire of our troubles, and we'll watch them blaze away. And when they've all gone up in smoke clouds, we'll never worry should they come another day. And as the bonfire keeps on burning, happy days will be returning. While the band keeps playing, we'll let our troubles blaze away.
Come
was also a radio theme, wasn't it?
Yes,
3UZ. Tiny Snell used to play that every day at 5:30.
It was indeed.
I think.
Now, we've got some messages just before we play our last record.
Yes, we have indeed. Margot of Parkdale's enjoying the program and wishes us a Happy New Year and the best wishes to everyone.
Thank you very much, Margot. And Eric from McLeod rang in to say Happy New Year and best wishes to Les and Alec. Great program.
And Jose from St Kilda likewise. Thank you, Jose.
Good. Thank you, Jose. And you've got a request coming up a little later on. It's just 2 minutes to 9 and we'll fit this one in before Collector's Corner. It's our Aussie spot for tonight and it features Jack Papworth's Australian Dance Orchestra and a medley of hits in a Pride of Erin medley. So I hope you enjoy this one. You're in tune with 3CR Community Radio. It's just gone 9 o'clock Eastern Summertime.
It is now time for Collector's Corner, presented this evening by Alex Hehr.
Happy forever I'll be. When skies are blue, you're beguiling, and when they're gray, you're still smiling, smiling. Sally, Sally.
That, of course, was Gracie Fields singing the song Sally, which had become a kind of signature tune for her. There she was singing to a capacity audience in her special Ensa Gala show at the Royal Albert Hall in 1941. She had come a long way by then and was recognised as a great star of show business. I never knew anyone with a greater communication with an audience than Gracie Fields. But off stage, Gracie was quite a shy person. She was never quite sure whether she could still give 100%. But as we all know, she did and could until the end of her days. She became an international celebrity and one of the best loved artists of stage and screen. Let Gracie tell her story in her own words by broadcasts she has made for the BBC, especially in this interview she gave to John Burns in 1968.
I think everybody must know that you were born in Rochdale. What was your life like as a child? Were you ever one of these half-timers, going to school part of the day and at the middle of the rest?
I did the half-time, getting up at 6. Well, before 6, we had to be in the factory at 6 o'clock. And then you get your breakfast at 8 o'clock till 8:30. You had a half hour for your breakfast, and then back tying all the knots again until 12:30. And then we had 1 hour for our lunch. And then back again 1:30 into the factory until 5:30 in the evening. And when I was going to school, when I was 12 years old, I did mornings for 1 week, and then go to school in the afternoon, and the other vice versa, the school in the mornings the next week and the factory in the afternoon.
And when did you get out of all this and get on the stage?
Well, not actually until I was really 16, but I'd been on the stage with one thing and another right up to then. I even was in a juvenile troupe from 14 to 16 with practically 2 years with this singing group. And before then I was in different juvenile troupes where I learned to dance and all the sort of acrobats of the theatre.
So when you went on the stage as a proper professional at 16, was this in a revue?
It was in a revue. First I started on my own, and after 4 weeks engagements by myself, we got in a revue and then went on until, well, I suppose about 30 odd years ago.
We haven't got a broadcast of her singing in revue, but here she is singing to the troops in France.
Back to the very, very early days when you started in revue, started touring the north of England and the rest of the country, were those then particularly hard days touring?
They were wonderful days. We loved every minute of it. It was all theatre.
I suppose you really became a star, didn't you, when you got to the West End in, 1923, Mr. Tower of London?
That's when and then I was a star then, yeah.
It really happened.
When he come to London, but I didn't believe it. I was more interested in the group that was working with me on the...
This was Archie Pitt's show?
Yes.
Had you married him then?
I was married when I was 25. I don't know when it...
Well, it was before or after?
So it was probably...
It was about that year, I think,
I was a star going round the provinces all the time with his shows, you see. And when we did come to London, we went to the Alhambra Theatre. That's when I was proclaimed a star. And I don't know, somebody came and offered £200 a week or something, and I was getting about £28, and I looked at everybody, what can I do? Can't leave my sister in this show, and I can't leave the whole crowd, everybody be out of work, so I just took my mind and said, that'll come again another day.
That was when I first heard Gracie Fields sing in Mr. Tower of London. I was struck by her great versatility, both as a character actress and a singer. I learned afterwards that she not only performed on the stage at night, but in the daytime she made the costumes and drilled the dancing girls. By the end of the 30s, she was earning as much as £50,000 for one film.
You had then, in the 30s, really become Gracie Fields, the great international star. You've gone a long, long way, hadn't you, from that fish and chip shop where you were born in Molesworth Street?
So, yes. But
had you changed?
I haven't changed myself. No. I'm still a fish and chip shop. I'm still the same person, if you know what I mean. I haven't changed myself. Because everything I do is a job, and I want to do that job well.
You've never acted like a star in the sense that you've never been apart from anybody else in the business. You've always been one of them, haven't you?
One of the folks that are in the show, yes. I'm a family girl, you see. Everybody comes in now to belong to me, and I want to belong to them. I've never been the kind of star that wants to go out after the show and go to be seen or go to a cabaret, because I'm always worried about my audience. If I was to go out, which I'd had to do once or twice naturally in those days, I found my voice was very tired the next day. I can't give, and that upsets me. I want every audience to go out every night to feel I can go to bed and say, well, I did a good show tonight, and that's that.
Now, I'm going to sing a few choruses, and if you like to join in, you can do. If you don't, it doesn't matter. I'll speak to you just the same. It's up to you. When I grow too old to see, I'll have you to remember. When I grow too old to dream, your love will live in my heart. So give me my sweet and so let us part. And when I long to dream that kiss will live in my heart. Walter, lead me to the altar. I don't cost much to keep in food. Walter, Mother says you ought to take me while she's in the mood. You know I'm very fond of chicken. We'll raise a lovely little brood. Walter, lead me to the altar, and I'll show you where I'm tattered. Hey, you dirty lot, it's not where you think. Wish me luck as you wave me goodbye. Cheerio, here I go on my way. Wish me luck as you wave me goodbye. With a tear, not a tear, make it gay. Give me a smile I can keep all the while in my heart while I'm away. Till we meet once again, you and I. Wish me luck as you wave me goodbye. Now I think we ought to all sing this chorus together. And Tom Webster, come on, love, you're going to write these here words there for me. Come on, love. There's other people working for the living here besides me, see? So I'll see you later on, so cheerio till later.
That excerpt shows Grace's wonderful rapport with an audience and how she could do anything with them. It was recorded in France at a special show for the troops in November 1939, only 2 months after war was declared, and incredibly, only 6 months after the major operation Gracie had for cancer. She got 500,000 get-well cards and messages, including one from the Queen, now the Queen Mother.
Now I'm going to sing a little song that I sang after an illness I had in 1939. I've been asked many times to sing it, but this is the first time I've sung it since that time. I love the moon, I love the sun, I love the forest, the flowers, the fun. I love the wild birds, the dawn and the dew. But best of all, I love you. I love you. Where is the moon? Where is the sun? Where are the forests, the flowers, the fun? There are no wild birds, no dawn and no dew. No music, no love without you.
In spite of the fact that Gracie was singing to the troops only months after her illness, and although the doctors had suggested a 2-year rest, some of the press turned against her when she left Britain in 1940. You see, her life with Archie Pitt had not been a happy one, and they were finally divorced in 1939. In March 1940, Gracie married Monty Banks, her film director. But in June of the same year, Italy entered the war on the side of Germany. And it turned out that Monty Banks, whose real name was Mario Bianchi, was technically still an Italian citizen, although he had left Italy when he was a boy. Gracie describes why she decided to leave Britain with her husband.
Well, it was just during the war, we had a message from Viscount Castleross, who was Monty's friend, and Monty was out at the time, and he rang up and said, you must get Monty immediately to leave the country, come to Ireland immediately, but we must not go back to Italy. Well, I had arranged for my family to go to America because my mother had been sick and she'd been advised to live in a warm country. So she was already there, and I thought, well, get the children away. And I said, well, I would like to go on that boat, and you must go to America. And I said, I want to get on that boat by hook or crook, because I feel if they go down, I shall never live. We'll go down together. And so that's how it sort of happened. And then when we got to America, he went to America, and he arranged before with Lord Lloyd and Basil Dean that I should do war work and carry on just the same, which I did across Canada, and do concerts for the benefit of the War Relief and the Navy League. So he had to go to America, and I was being left behind in Canada. When we arrived in Quebec, I think was the first, then all these Navy League officials, everybody, they said, yes, but your husband will have to be interned. And they were going to take him off and intern him in Canada. As well, if you intern him, you intern me too, because it's daft. He's going on to America. He's not staying on here anyway. and then they started. We took £10,000 worth of jewellery. There was no stoppage on it. Nobody said, have you got it or not? Anyway, when it got there, it got in the papers, it became £100,000 worth of jewellery, and then 200,000. Oh, it got ridiculous.
In spite of the bad publicity, Gracie carried on entertaining the troops and raised over £500,000 for Britain with her concerts in Canada and America. Never afraid to face the music, she came back to Britain alone in 1941 and again in 1943 and continued with her wartime concerts to enthusiastic audiences. After the war, Gracie returned once more to Britain in 1947, having travelled all over the world, and did a series of very successful radio.
Stop and shop at the co-op shop. What a shop is the co-op shop. You can buy from a chop to a prop or a mop or a bottle of ginger pop at the co-op shop, as the pop shop is next to the co-op shop. When you've done your popping in the pop shop, you hop out of the pop shop and pop into the co-op shop. A proper shop to shop, it is the co-op shop. They have tripe, nice and ripe at the co-op shop. Pink pillows, powder puffs, pork pies, paraffin and jam, carbolic soap and ham, clothes, pegs and glass eyes, and pigs' heads all grinning in a row. Will you join in this chorus, sweet and low? Sweet and low, sweet and low, wind over the waves. It's all right, I heard him playing wrong tune, it's all right. But deep low, it's all right, he can stop another fortnight. Blow, breeze and blow, wind over. What's the matter with you?
You're singing the wrong song, my dear lady.
Oh, sing it wrong song.
You're singing Sweet and Low. This is the co-op shop.
I'm not singing Sweet and Low, I'm singing the co-op shop. Don't act daft.
Well, it sounds like Sweet and Low to me. I'm sure it's Sweet and Low.
I think you must be going potty, really. I was singing the co-op shop. I mean, here, Leslie, come here, Leslie Cole. What was I singing, the co-op shop or Sweet and Low?
You were singing Sweet and Low.
I was singing Sweet and Low? I'll smack your face. Both of you
Sweet and Low.
Both of you. You both say I was singing Sweet and Low. Well, I'm terribly sorry. It's 2-1, so if I was singing Sweet and Low, I apologize. It must be my classical brain running away with me. Stop and shop at the co-op shop. What a shop is the co-op shop. You can buy from a chop to a prop or a mop or a bottle of ginger pop at the Una voce puta cara, la voce de toda la cama, non ma po la pip ma di la rata, oh oh La casata pipit na patois.
Did you ever think of developing your voice even further into an opera singer? Because I remember reading somewhere that the great Tetrazzini once asked you to sing an aria from La Traviata, and why didn't you become an opera singer?
It was too late, and I'm glad I didn't now, because I think I've given many more people enjoyment than probably an opera singer, and I had more fun myself doing it.
Did you ever have singing lessons of any kind?
No.
None at all?
No. I just pray to the Lord before I go on every night and just hope for the best and make a little noise. All right, we'll go on. Come on.
What of all your songs is the greatest song? The song that perhaps has done most for you, or means, or
that
has
I
meant
like
the most?
that I like to listen to myself.
Well, of your own songs?
Of my songs recordings, I don't sort of listen to Sally, and I don't listen to the r.p.m, but I listen to things like Angels Guard Thee, and some of those good classic songs that I've sung, semi-classic. But I'm rather surprised when I hear them now, and I think, well, it was a voice. It was something that was a bit out of this world, but I didn't realize I had it. I didn't realize then. I realize now.
Up in the garret, away from the din, someone is playing an old violin. Tenderly, pleadingly, so the notes fall. Just for the love of the music, that's all. What is he playing there all the day long? Bits of old melodies, scraps of old songs, sweet half-forgotten things out of the years. Rapture and agony, laughter and tears, tenderly, pleadingly, playing an old violin. Up in the garret, away from the din, someone is an old
You have just enjoyed or just missed Collector's Corner, presented by Alex Hehr.
And we'll hear part two.
Part two.
In a fortnight's time.
On the 16th with John and your good self. And then in my next program on the 30th of January, we have a special. Jamie Kelly will be back in the studio, and he'll be presenting for everyone's listening enjoyment Shell Show.
Good,
Remember
Jamie.
the Shell shows?
Look forward to
So that's going to be great.
you in. And I've been talking to Herb Roberts. He's enjoying the program and has been enjoying it since the program started.
Terrific.
And I've been talking to Bob Hammond, and he wishes us the compliments of the season.
Same to you, Bob. Edna Eames is also enjoying the program. She says Happy New Year to everyone and to all the listeners. So that's great. Norm Rowe of Seaford. And Norm was out on the yacht over the Christmas break last week, and excellent reception down Queenscliff Way.
Good.
Well, that's good.
Good.
And Rachel from Mooney Ponds enjoying the program very much. Thanks to everyone for wonderful music during 1993, and a happy new year. So cheerio to you, Rachel, and thanks very much for your call.
And what do we have at 10 o'clock?
At 10 o'clock, we have this.
If you're in the 35-plus age group, you probably remember the time when radio personalities enjoyed the same star status that television performers do today. We'll recall the names and the careers of some of those radio stars of the past in the next Paul Edwards spot on Nostalgia Unlimited.
That'll be good.
Sounds interesting.
27 minutes to 10.
Right.
Nostalgia Unlimited.
Good. Stan Barton. Stan has requested that we play something by the American organist Jess Crawford. So it's our pleasure tonight, Stan, to present him playing Drifting Down the Shalimar.
And then we'll have A Beautiful Lady in Blue for John Brown. This is the Jan Garber recording of this 1935 beautiful song, A Beautiful Lady in Blue, and the vocal is by Lou Palmer on this one. But firstly,
Drifting Down the Shalimar.
Like this is, we counted each star, but we didn't count our kisses, drifting down the Shalimar. Where the willows bend, dear, we heard a guitar. We forgot that river's end, dear, drifting down the Shalimar. Your lips to mine, a kiss like wine that turned my head, and I believed the sweet and lovely things you said. Nights have lost their charms now, and yet from afar, make believe you're in my arms now, drifting down the Shalimar.
blue. We met just like two shadows do. Not one word was said. She kissed me and fled, and our little romance was through. A beautiful lady in blue. She thought I was someone she knew. Her lips too divine were not meant for mine. The night seemed to laugh at us two. How did I know she was lovely? There wasn't a moonbeam aglow. How would I know there's a heaven unless my heart told me so? A beautiful lady in blue, and strange as it may sound to you, a lifetime was spent in one little moment with a beautiful lady in blue.
Jan Garber and a scratchy old Decca there.
It's a little bit pre-loved.
Yeah.
20 minutes to 10. 20 minutes to Paul Edward.
That's right.
In Nostalgia Unlimited.
And we've got...
For Flash Gordon. I wonder if Dale and Ming are still around with Flash.
Dale and...
Dale. Yeah, that was Flash's girlfriend.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and Ming was very wicked. He was evil.
Oh.
But not this Flash Gordon. So for Flash we have Ambrose and his orchestra to play their June 1931 recording of Moonlight Saving Time.
And then I'm thirsty, so it's time for a drop of scotch. And tonight tenor Robert Wilson joins Jimmy Shand and the band and the Northern Lights of Aberdeen.
I'll join you with that.
All right. Water on the ice.
On the ice.
Okay.
Thanks.
All
Thanks,
right.
Alex.
Here's Ambrose.
Time, so I could love that girl of mine until the birdies wake and chime good morning. There ought to be a law in clover time to keep that moon moon out over time, to keep each lover's lane in rhyme till dawning. You'd better hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, get busy today. You'd better croon a tune to the man up in the moon. And here's what I'd say: there ought to be a moonlight saving time, so I could love that girl of mine until the bird is wake and chime good morning.
Nice drop of scotch.
Nice drop of scotch there.
Delightful.
I always liked that particular song.
Yes, lovely. And beautifully sung by Robert Wilson too.
The late Robert Wilson.
13
and a half minutes to 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, Paul
Edward.
Thank you.
Good. And as per normal for Jose of St Kilda, we have the Boswell sisters.
Yes, now this one is a bit surfacey because it's an
surfacey?
original Brunswick, American Brunswick.
Oh, but Jose will be thrilled because
sure
I
he
bet he hasn't got this one. And we heard from Jose before to wish us all the
Yes, so we'll keep plugging the Boswell sisters for you, Jose.
And this one is the May 1934 hit, Alexander's Ragtime Band.
It is, and then we'll have Donald Novus coming to the program to sing the 1926 r.p. Pollock hit Charmaine. This recording was made in April 1938 and it's played tonight for Charles Kinney. But firstly, here come the Boswells.
Come on in. Oh my honey, better hurry and let's meander. Ain't you going to the leader man, ragged leader man? Oh my honey, let me take you to Alexander's grandstand, brass band. Ain't you coming along? Come on here, Alexander's ragtime band. Come on here, it's the best band in the land. They can play a bugle like you never heard before. That's the natural that you want to go to war. That's just the bestest band, what am Honeyland. Come on along, let me take you by the hand up to the man, who's the leader of the band. If you want to hear that swanny music played in ragtime, come on here, Alexander's ragtime band. Come on here, Alexander's ragtime band. Come on here, Alexander's ragtime band. Come on here, it's the best band in the land. They can play bugle like you never heard before. That's the natural that you want to go to war. That's just the best band, what am Honeyland. Come on along, let me take you by the hand. Up to the man, who's the leader of the band. Come on along, cause it's Alexander's ragtime band. Come on along, gather round, cause it's Alexander's ragtime band.
that precious memory lingers yet when you declared your love, and then you went away, and now each night and day I wonder why you keep me waiting, Charmaine, my Charmaine. I wonder when bluebirds are mating, will you come back again? I wonder if I keep on praying, will our dreams be the same? I wonder if you ever think of me too. I am waiting, my Charmaine, for you.
You're listening to Nostalgia Unlimited, part of your weekend on Community Radio 3CR. And a big part of it.
And indeed, Mavis Macbeth from Yarraville enjoyed the Gracie Fields Collector's Corner, and she can't wait to hear the second part.
Oh, that's good. Well, this is Charles of Northcote.
Fortnight's time.
Said the same thing. Congrats on the Gracie Field special. Can hardly wait for the next part, and that will be on the 16th of January with you and John
Ferguson.
Yes.
And Kingy, as per usual, is enjoying our program and sends a Happy New Year to all of us.
Thank you, Kingy.
Well, we have time for two more before Paul Edward.
Yes, we'll get them in.
Okay, here we go. Gladys and Harold. They're our good supporters of Nostalgia Unlimited, and for them tonight we play Teresa Brewer's 1953 hit, Into Each Life Some Rain Must Fall.
And then for Harry Monk, here's Al Jolson and the song Pretty Baby, a 1916 composition which was re-recorded in the 40s by Al for the film Jolson Sings Again. But firstly,
Teresa Brewer.
It's raining. It's raining. Into each life some rain must fall, but too much is falling in mine. Into each heart some tears must fall, but someday the sun will shine. Some folks can lose the blues in their hearts, but when I think of you, another shower starts. Into each life some rain must fall, but too much is falling in mine. shower starts. Into each life some rain must fall, but too much is fallen. Too much is fallen. Yes, too much is fallen in my.
Everybody loves a baby, that's why I'm in love with you. Pretty baby, pretty baby. And I'd like to be your sister, brother, dad, and mother too. Pretty baby, pretty baby. Won't you come and let me rock you in my cradle of love? And we'll cuddle all the time. Oh, I want a loving baby, and it might as well be you. Pretty baby of mine. You ask me why I'm always teasing you. You hate to have me call you pretty, baby. I really thought that I was pleasing you, for you're just a baby to me. Your cunning little dimples and your baby stare, your baby talk and baby walk and curly hair. Your baby smile makes life worthwhile. You're just as sweet as you can be. Everybody loves a baby, that's why I'm in love with you. Pretty baby, pretty baby. And I'd like to be your sister, brother, dad, and mother too. Pretty baby, pretty baby. Won't you come and let me rock you in my cradle of love, and we'll cuddle all the time. Oh, I want a loving baby, and it might as well be you. Pretty baby of mine, pretty baby of mine.
This is your station for music, for news and sports. Now we must pause for a moment, our call letters to report. This is radio station
3CR Community Radio, 855 on your dial.
Your station for music and news and sports.
That was good.
That was good.
Well, I mean, you know,
except I think I came in just a little bit early, too early.
But that's the first try.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Good little promo.
It is.
10 o'clock.
And it's time for Paul Edward.
Hello there. This is Paul Edward with another glimpse into the past as we talk about the earlier days of Australian radio. We've called this program Some Personalities of the Past.
You know what you've got to do? You've heard this game played before. Animal, vegetable, and mineral, haven't you?
This is John Royal with Australian News for North America.
When his baby boy was born and he was down there, quite out of touch. So I went out to the hospital.
It was the happiest place to work in. I never ever thought about how much I was getting paid.
A lot of new prizes, a lot of changes, but I have a confession to make. Dolly and I are still the same.
Before the frenetic, cutthroat days of radio today, radio, or wireless as it was called, was a pleasant, relaxed, friendly form of entertainment, where stations developed their own character and nurtured their own on-air personalities. The character of the stations was evident in their call signs and the little appendaged slogans they used. For instance, we had 3KZ, the brighter broadcasting service, 3XY, the quality station, and 3AK, the all-night station. And sometimes the proprietor rated a mention. For example, 3UZ, Nilsson's broadcasting service. Oliver J. Nilsson was a big electrical store at the top end of Burke Street. 3DB Melbourne and 3LK Central Victoria, the Herald stations. But how well do you remember the names of the on-air personalities of those days? Well, starting at the top of the dial, forgetting the ABC stations for the moment, 3UZ had amongst its team Rolly Barley, Gil Charlesworth, John Dexter, compared of the popular 50 and Over programme. Other 3UZ personalities were Norman Ellis and Tiny Snell, 3UZ's longest-serving breakfast announcer, and the golden-voiced John McMahon. That was John McMahon, long-serving 3UZ studio manager, singing Never Never, composed by Letty Katz. At 3DB3LK there was Danny Webb, Monty Blandford, Louise Humphrey, Jeff McComas, Morris Callard, Dick Cranburn, and going back to the 30s, perhaps the most popular team in Melbourne radio history, Ren Miller and Charlie Vaughn with the Smile Away Club.
Smile away, smile and drive down care away.
3DB long-serving breakfast announcer was Daybreak Dan, John Stewart.
Tonight, consisting of Mr. Crosby Morrison, MSc, Editor of Wildlife, and President of the Royal Society of Victoria. Professor W.A. Osborne, M.B.
After he retired from 3DB, John Stewart joined the team of comedy writers at GTV9, writing comedy sketches for Graham Kennedy and the IMT team, and doubling as a slightly unorthodox, sometimes unpredictable Father Christmas in the children's programme The Tarak Show. So to 3KZ, the brighter broadcasting service, where for years the king personality was, of course, Norman Banks. In the 30s, Norm was partnered initially with Joan Melwitt, and Norm and Joan were the big nighttime personalities on the brighter broadcasting service. Other long-time personalities at 3KZ were Eddie Barmer, compere of the popular Sunday night talent quest Maples P&A Parade. Remember Maples? They were a Victoria-wide chain of furniture stores, and the P&A Parade discovered such artists as soprano Joyce McCartney, tenor John Lanigan, who later enjoyed a successful operatic career at Covent Garden, and baritone Alan Ferris, who won the parade on December the 4th, 1938, with a dramatic rendition of The Glory Road. The Glory Road was a descriptive composition, half song, half recitative, made popular by American baritone Lawrence Tibbett. And to refresh your memories, here is Lawrence Tibbett to sing a portion of it.
Oh, the Glory Road, oh, the Glory Road, I'm going to drop my load upon the Glory Road.
Another 3KZ personality of the late 40s and 50s was young Bob Horsfall. Bob later joined GTV9, where he quickly earned for himself the title of Mr. Versatile, and his singing group, the Tune Twisters, were always in demand.
The Camwood crew so out of tune, but still keep me out and me out till the break of day.
At 3AW, we listened to smooth and suave-voiced John Masters, who every day compared a series of half-hour pleasant musical programs under the generic title, I think, of The Choice of the People. No rock and roll, no Sex Pistols, no Tina Turner, but a lot of Victor Sylvester, Kenny Baker, Kate Smith, Donald Nervis, Charlie Kunz, and other artists who really could sing or play. AW nighttime stars of that era included Terry Deer, who appeared regularly with Mal Verco and Ginger, a ventriloquial act. So to 3XY, the quality station. 3XY was a comparatively late starter. They didn't begin transmission until September 1935, with r.p.m as their chief announcer. His opening remarks on the opening broadcast were as follows.